Hey everybody, it's Andy from EX2 Adventures. I want to give you an update on this year's Rails to River course. I sent out an update a couple weeks ago, letting the folks that were registered at that point know that there's a pretty major stream restoration project going on at Lake Fairfax Park that does impact the Rails to River course. Um, I'm going to show you on the map just to orient you all. So this is the large cricket field. Um, at the park. This is the large pavilion where we stayed. Now, the course historically has left the big pavilion up a gravel hill, kind of taken that gravel road and looped basically on the bottom end of the cricket field. And then this is called Cliffhanger, went down Cliffhanger, crossed over a stream here, across a bridge, and then it continued on the course. And then on the way back, the course crosses back over this same creek here, and then up past the cricket field and in. But this stream valley right in here is the one that's being rehabilitated, and it's a major active construction zone. So we met with all the folks a while ago and looked at it, see what was kind of actually happening on the ground. And basically, there's a couple of things that are being impacted. So this major stream crossing right here is majorly closed, and we've known this for a while. So there's like a big culvert, two big culvert pipes through it. It's like an 8-foot drop down to the stream valley bed, and there's no way we would ask people to sort of like reopen it and rehabilitate it. So that's been a no-go for a long time. There's a couple other places on this first section of course that are impacted, one of which is kind of right around here. There's a little kind of like a drainage that feeds into the creek, and that's got some wood decking on it. They use the wood decking to drive the big equipment back and forth when they're moving things around. There's 6-foot sections. They're like this big. I can't really see, but not this big. Big enough that we kind of needed to move them for the race. So that's one section, and then the other section is right after this bridge here. The bridge is fine, but right after that bridge is another section of that wood decking. And so we met with the park and the stormwater people who are doing the work, and the contractor who's doing the work. We were like, hey, what if we just leave this section alone and closed, and just remove like literally like 6 or 12 feet of that decking at this section and right after that bridge. And they took it back to the the contractor. They had him price it out, and it's been working its way through all the different parts within the Fairfax County Park Authority to get it approved. We're waiting for one last approval from the risk management group. Um, um, I can't predict the future, but I feel hopefully pretty good that everything is going to be approved. And what that's going to mean for the course is a change basically that I went over last time. And so we're still going to start out of the big pavilion, go up the gravel road, go through the cricket field, down Cliffhanger, across the bridge, and then to the rest of the course. But instead of going back through the creek here and for the finish, basically you're going to when you get back, this is like a little downhill section through like a wet creek up a reinforced section. You're just going to go back the same way the race started. So basically, this becomes a two-way section of traffic. However, for the first race of the day, that's not an issue because everybody comes out, everybody comes back one time. For the sport and expert races where we have laps, this is not a safe section of trail in here to make it be two-way traffic. And so what that means is we're going to make the lap point where the riders in the sport and the expert race go out for their second or their third lap. We're going to move that right at the bottom of the luge when you kind of come back down to this crossing here. This is now going to be the split point. And so you do most of the course. The only really section that's missing now is just this one little section here, which is kind of flat in a gravel road. You miss this one little fun section here at the end, but so you'll just do that once when you finish the race. And so the lap point will be here. So you start the race, come down here, loop all the way around to the whole course as initially designed, and then come back down luge. And then if you're doing 2 or 3 laps, this is where you make a left. On the second time if you're doing the sport race, and then the second time you come like to the finish, then you go straight and finish the race. If you're doing the expert race, basically you go left here twice, and then the third time you go back the way you started and then finish the race. It also means that for the sport and the expert race, you're not going to have aid down by the large pavilion. So what we're going to do is we're going to move that more sort of elaborate aid support up by the soccer fields, which is here. We've already had an aid station there in previous years, so it doesn't really change that at all. It just from a planning standpoint, if you're doing the Sport of the Expert race, just know you're not going to go through the main pavilion on your second or third before your third lap. Again, you're going to get that aid at the soccer field. So if you have drop stuff, you want us to bring things up for you, we're going to have water, Gatorade, food, something there, so that make sure you can stay hydrated in particular. Just know that's how we're going to run it. In my previous video, I was debating sort of whether to do the lap point at the soccer fields or at the bottom of the luge. My inkling was to keep the luge in those laps, just because it's a super fun section of trail. And I talked to a whole bunch of people, and they all felt the same way. And so if all this pans out, we're going to basically keep that one section of luge. So you're going to do that if you, again, the beginner race, or excuse me, the base race. You're going to do the section once and then go back up. If you're doing the Sport of the Expert, this is going to be your lap point. So you get to do that fun section of the luge multiple times, which is great. So that's the latest. That's the latest and greatest, all I know. Obviously, if anything happens to change, I'll let you know as soon as I have any other information, but that is the target. That's what we're planning on. We're still going to have Bike Lane Brewing, serving beers after the race out of the large pavilion. We're still going to stage out of the large pavilion. Parking generally all stays the same. The start and the finish are all generally the same. Again, just that lap point is now going to change to over here, and then we're going to have that more advanced, sort of more elaborate support up in the soccer fields. If anybody has any questions, please feel free to get in touch with me. I'm stoked about this race. Lake Fairfax is kind of like my home track. I live really close to the park. I love the trails there, and I was really happy when we came up with the idea to have the Rails to River several years ago. And I really want to continue to have this race for a long time. It's really important to me personally, and it's super fun. And I'm doing everything I can, trust me, to have the race this year amongst all the construction that's going on, and keep it as close to the original design as possible. I will tell you the one other thing that since this is cutting, in the sport race, the beginner race, I keep on beginner, the base race, the distance is largely the same, because we're kind of going out and back this way. For the sport and the expert races, it does shorten the lap a little bit. And so what I'm actually thinking about doing, and I'm going to go out and measure this and kind of do another assessment before we make this change. But right after you cross the main creek here in the race, the original route goes up sort of like a climb here. It's pretty wide. And this is just to the left of the downhill line that was created a while back. What I'm thinking about doing to add another half mile is basically when you cross that creek, you would continue on the Rails to River Trail, which is here, and it's largely double track, and it's super fast and really fun. And then you'd take a hard right and climb a little bit, and then contour around and come back to that same point. It adds about a half mile. I think it's a really fun section of trail, but I want to do it a couple times and measure the distance. To make sure there's no weird effects of adding that. I've already talked to Tony from Moore, and he's like, yeah, sounds like great, and so, but if I do make that change, I'll put out new maps and give you the actual distances and stuff like that. But that's the only other sort of change that we're thinking about making to the course itself. Again, I'm stoked about the race. May 5th is the date. Our rain date is the first Sunday in June 2nd. Yes, June 2nd. So everybody keep your fingers crossed for good weather, and keep your fingers at the powers that be, get everything improved so that we can have the race. But again, I'll always keep you informed of any changes as soon as I know. But again, I'm stoked about it. It's awesome. Also, if you're pre-riding and want to go out and ride the course, this section is closed. They're going to open it up basically Friday afternoon of race weekend, keep it open Saturday, open Sunday for the race, and then they're going to close it again on Monday. So if you're pre-riding, you can still kind of start out of the big pavilion, but the best way to hit the course and avoid the closures is just ride up the park road like you're going up to the skate park and the campground, and then right here. So basically get on the main park road and ride for 150 meters, and then take a left, and you back up with the course, and you can do the whole course, follow all around, and then instead of crossing over here because this is majorly closed, just continue straight and then go back to your car that way. That's the best way to do the pre-riding. Thanks everybody for your support of the race. It means a lot to me. It means a lot to EX2. It means a lot to our team. And we're stoked about Rails to River.